Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope all of you are having a great week so far. As I record this, it is March 31st, 2026. As I sit here today, I can't help but reflect back to 3 years ago on this day, the day that the EF3 tornado tore through Arkansas, including central Arkansas, in which I live and where my church, Parkview Baptist Church, is located. 3 years ago, I was on the day of the tornado at the NFB of Arkansas State Convention, the affiliate convention, which was being held in Little Rock that year. It was being held at the Four Points by Sheridan in Little Rock, there on University. It was actually my first state convention for NFB. I had just got involved in the NFB a few months prior. It was a really big weekend, I was looking forward to, with all the great activities I was planned and getting to meet so many individuals. I mean, it was hard to believe just the excitement that I felt, for my adventure getting involved in the NFB. And I remember preparing for that weekend, and that Thursday, I gathered with a lot of the crew at US Pizza, and since it was going to be held in Little Rock, I decided just to commute back and forth from my home to the hotel. But if I were to have known at that time what was to lay ahead, I may have went on ahead and got a room there at the hotel. However, I am very thankful on that Thursday night the Lord laid on my heart for me to go and get my laundry done. And how thankful I would be that I got that taken care of when I did. Friday, March 31st began. I took on off to the hotel for the convention. It was a wonderful day. The activities were going well for the morning, and then lunch at Nuke's. Came back to the hotel, and we were to begin the afternoon activities. As we were coming back to the hotel, myself and some of the other members, we noticed the really bad storm clouds as we were coming in. And we had been keeping up with the weather, and we knew that there was some rough weather that was supposed to be coming through, and it was definitely something that was on our minds, but, we're carrying on with the weekend. However, we would soon be very thankful that our meetings for our convention were being held in the basement of the Four Points because of the tornado that would soon tear through our state. As we were listening to our national rep for that year, Everett Bacon, speak and give a speech that afternoon. Everett Bacon is currently the president of the Utah affiliate of the National Federation of the Blind, and he also serves on the national board for the NFB as well. However, as we were all listening to Everett, all of a sudden, many of us were receiving alerts on our phones, the weather alerts and the beep, beep, beep. And not only that, but the news alerts from the news apps and messages, phone calls from friends and loved ones checking us to make sure we were all right. In addition to everything going on our phones, the hotel was bringing people down into the basement to where we were located because of the tornado coming through. We would soon find out the devastation that lay about in the Rock and in the surrounding communities. The Rock is the nickname for Little Rock for those of you who are not from Little Rock. I remember hearing from numerous individuals that day checking on me, making sure I was okay. Even some individuals who I had not talked to in a long time had reached out to me, some of my online friends and others. However, one phone call stands out to me to this very day. It was my pastor, Brother Brian Shepherd, calling me. And I answered, and he was calling to check on me, make sure I was all right. That's how it began. However, what he soon told me was what would stick in my mind and still does to this day. He went on to tell me the church is gone. And I was in shock when he said that. I was like, whoa, brother, whoa, what? He's like, yeah, the church is gone. It's been destroyed. Man, I don't really remember the rest of the conversation, but I remember that very well. And, thankfully he and his family were okay. And, I was just in shock. I mean, I would soon receive photos from my dad. He went by and checked on everything as he had got off work and all. And, man, it was just the best way to describe what the church looked like was it was like a bomb had went off and destroyed our building. That's the best way to describe the photos that I received. And I had just been down there for Wednesday night worship a couple of days prior, but little did I know that that was going to be the last time in that building before the tornado would tear it to smithereens. The convention carried on. I would go home that night, and the following night after everything was done with the convention. However, my power was out, so was everyone else's in the neighborhood. Thankfully, I was able to get a hold of a generator, which helped to power up my refrigerator. And after I got in that generator, it helped me to get a nice hot shower even before my power came back, which my power did not come back until that Tuesday. However, I did have to suffer through a couple of ice cold showers. Ooh, makes me shiver just thinking about it. However, I dealt with it, and thankfully, with the state convention going on, I was able to be in a place where I was able to charge my phone. I was able to have, fresh food, electricity, people around me. I had something to do. I wasn't just sitting up here in the dark doing nothing. But, it was an awesome weekend. And it would soon, after convention, I would get my tour of the devastation. I did see some of the damage Friday night whenever I was heading home, and my parents had picked me up from the hotel, take me back to the house, and then even Saturday night. However, I did really see, especially on that Sunday, the devastation that the tornado had left behind. That Sunday morning, church was held. We had church. We had it there in our parking lot there on Donovan Briley Boulevard. That was where the church was before we moved. Donovan Briley Boulevard is right there by the Camp Robinson military base where the Arkansas National Guard is stationed. While we were there, we had worship, and we even had live streaming that morning. We were able to do Facebook Live and all, even though our equipment and everything had been destroyed. We were able to see the devastation. That Saturday, my dad and many others went and cleaned up as much as they could, but walking through the devastation, the damage, and all, it's like, whoa. Man, I was just very thankful that no one had been at the church, because, if anybody had been in there, God only knows what would have happened. But the fire department, they came by that day just checking on everybody, after church and all, just, making their rounds because of how bad everything was tore. I mean, many homes were destroyed and damaged in the area. And also, the commander of the Camp Robinson military base came by that day. And we were unsure about what we were going to do for Easter service, because Easter was the following Sunday. Keep in mind, this was Palm Sunday. And the commander of Camp Robinson was, you guys, y'all come to our chapel. Y'all can have church at our chapel. And that was a really impressive blessing. I mean, we were definitely not expecting to get, but that would wind up becoming one of the best memorable Easters that I can recall in my life, especially having our Easter service in the chapel at Camp Robinson. And, we actually did have to, ahead of time, let the base know, they did have to send, our names and everything, all the intel to the base, for who all would be coming on for service. But yeah, it was definitely something we were not expecting, but the Lord worked everything out for us, as well as where we are now. Over the last 3 years, it is amazing where we have come from in the last 3 years. Amboy Baptist Church that is located on MacArthur, invited all of us from Parkview to come and have worship and have our church services in their church building, because of how large their building was and how very few members they had in attendance. We were very thankful for that blessing. They would have their services in one part of the church, and then we'd have our services in the other part of the church. And eventually, we wound up merging together. Amboy Baptist Church joined in with Parkview Baptist Church, and they gave us the building. And that is how Parkview Baptist Church is now on MacArthur Drive. The Lord worked everything out for His honor and glory and for our favor. Parkview Baptist Church, we were actually in debt financially before the tornado destroyed our building and everything. However, with where we are now, we are debt-free. We have been very fortunate and blessed to fix up the building on MacArthur, and it's like a whole brand new church building now. And you can come and see what the Lord is doing at Parkview Baptist Church. If you are in the area, we're located at 5628 MacArthur Drive. We are on MacArthur Drive. It's right there on the old Conway Highway. We are not too far from, our church is located not too far from a few of the other businesses in the area, such as there's a McDonald's and a Circle K, and there's a hibachi restaurant not too far. But Parkview Baptist Church, we meet for Sunday school at 9:45 on Sunday, and then we have morning worship at 10:45. We also, for those of you who are not in the area, we do live stream our services, and we also do have evening services at 6 p.m. on Sundays. So that is what the Lord has done for us within the last few years, and my recollections of the tornado from 3 years ago. And I am very thankful to just all the support that everybody gave me during that weekend and all me. And some people were even concerned that they had thought that I lost my house. But I was very thankful for all those who had helped me out during that time. I even had some of my NFB family even offered. Some were like, if you need a place to stay, you can come stay with us, while your power's out and all. But, everything worked out. And, I'm just very thankful as I look back just how the Lord worked everything out for the tornado to go through when it did and all. Because of when it went through, many people's lives were saved. Because if that tornado would have came through at another time of the day, God only knows how many lives would have been lost. But I hope you all have enjoyed this story, and I hope and pray that all of you have a great Holy Week this week with Easter, because Easter is in a few days. And also for my Jewish friends, I hope you all have a happy and blessed Passover. And as we go through the different times in our lives, may we always remember the goodness and mercy of God and how He is there for us during the good times and bad. Take care, y'all.